are listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wonko and Joe Vitale.
Hey, wait a minute. We're officially recording.
We are. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the Balancing Act podcast. I am Jamie Wonko. My microphone, just like me, is a little crooked.
Well,
so I'm going to try to deal. How are you, Mr. Vitale?
I'm good. We're having one of those, it's the setup day. I was a little bit late myself because I could not find the magical box I used to hold up my microphone. It's like the Wizard of Oz, all the glory behind the curtain.
Of course.
So yeah, here we are in the throes of 2026, in the depths of winter, and
January.
I hate it.
Someone today said to me, March is worse than January, and I was like, do you want to? Are we fighting? What's happening?
Yeah, I don't agree. Well, before we get into it today, hey, did you know that we have a new, our sponsor, our presenting sponsor for this season? Do you want to do our ad read as I'm trying to stall because I didn't have it in my notes?
Season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Teachers Insurance Plan. Check out their website for more information and to get a quote. Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
Yeah. Well, speaking of New Jersey, we got a guest out in the wings who I'm very excited to bring on. And I think we've had her waiting long enough as we are bantering back and forth and trying to find our stuff and keep it together. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hi, everyone.
It's so good to have you. Thanks a lot for being willing to join us on the Balancing Act podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for asking me.
Yeah.
Welcome. Some of you may know Melissa as the well-seasoned teacher.
Yes.
And so we follow you on TikTok and Instagram. Are you also on Facebook, or are those your main platforms?
I have a professional page on Facebook, Melissa Antinoff, the well-seasoned teacher, and I'm also on YouTube, but that's at the well-seasoned teacher.
I will say this before we even jump into it. If you are a new teacher or a novice teacher and you are looking for an account that can provide you some advice, a little bit of levity, some tips and tricks that you can use for dealing with trouble with administrators or difficulty with classroom management, you need to give Melissa a follow 100%. So, and that's one of the things that actually drew me to stalk you on various on various platforms. And oddly enough, there we were. Just a quick story. We were at the New Jersey State Convention, and we were interviewing a lot of the county teachers of the year. Mm-hmm. And, we started following people, and then we're scrolling through, and then all of a sudden I see you in a picture with some of the other county teachers. Yeah. And I'm like, gosh darn it. I have to, I've been trying to get in touch with her for so long. I got to find somebody who knows her. Because I just really feel that, we all have a lot of dirt on our boots. From being in the classroom for as long as we have been. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be a great conversation. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, we just started and we already have 2 Joe-isms, dirt in the boots and in the throws. So let's go for 3.
I think secretly she hates me. She keeps track of these things. I asked her to start a podcast, and now she just abuses me. What is happening?
To be fair, that was happening before the podcast.
There you go.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Melissa, can you give us a little bit about your background, teaching experience, and all things Melissa?
Well, I've been teaching since 1993. I started as a kindergarten teacher. I've taught general education, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 7th.
Okay, so everything. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much everything. And I've done inclusion classes and in-class support classes. I'm not a special ed teacher, but I've had a lot of special ed students in my gen ed class. And now I teach gifted education, grades 3 to 8 pull out, and I push in and do lessons whole class to grade 2.
To grade 2. Oh.
Grade 2. Yep. So I can start seeing who will be in my program the following year.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So once a month, I go into the 2nd grade classes and do lessons. Like today, I did one with tangrams. It's a lot of fun.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
1993. So that's
old.
That's a
Well,
long.
no, I'm not old. I'm well seasoned.
You're well seasoned.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
Thank
Like,
you.
Yes.
like a cast iron skillet. Is that where we're
That's
going?
right.
Yes.
We've seen a lot, that skillet and me.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
so from 1993 to now, where was the gap in the years? Like, when did you not?
Oh, I took off 6 years after I had my daughter in 2007, and I took a year off after I had my son in 2005. So I am in year 27 now instead of 34
okay.
because I took time off to raise kids. Yeah,
Good for you.
Thank you.
That's the best job.
it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So recently, after we had talked, about having you on the show and coming up with a date, one of your posts came up. You were sitting in your car, and you were talking about how we have classrooms full of kids with learned helplessness. So Jamie and I, this is something that we have been talking about, and I just want to get your take on it too. I don't know if there's necessarily a way to. So basically, fix it, Melissa. I don't know if there's a way.
We're trying.
Yeah, right. I don't know if there's a way to, but I'm just, I think what is good about conversations like this is it allows Jamie and myself and our listeners to understand, like, hey, you're not the only one that's seeing these things happening in the classroom.
Right.
No. It's all of us and in all grades. I've heard from teachers in pre-K and I've heard from teachers who teach seniors that there's so much learned helplessness. And now I'm getting college professors saying that they're using some of the things that I talk about in college. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I've talked about this often. I do some executive function tutoring in the company for Educational Connections. We've had some people from the company on the show, but we've also talked about like how on a daily basis, especially right now that we're at a time where it's the new year and parents are in certain states are transitioning to the second semester. I got one tonight right before here with college students that are looking for executive function tutoring because they are having trouble managing the workload, figuring out what to do, what to prioritize, how to chunk out tasks. It is a skill that they do not have. Then we go down to my son, who's currently in a class at high school called Tomorrow's Teachers. And right before the break, he started observing some of the classes and he had to go in and he wound up like the kids were like making gingerbread houses. And he was just astounded at the fact that they had so much trouble building a gingerbread house, which by the way, gingerbread houses are not easy to build. But it was very interesting to hear him like, yeah, they couldn't cut this open. And I was doing that. I was cleaning this up. And I was like, yeah, because they can't. You think they can.
But I'm going to give that to him specifically because I teach 8th grade and I do lots and lots of, and I do it on purpose, especially with scissors, because I've noticed in the last 10 years, maybe a little bit less, even they can't cut. And so, and the stamina and the hand-eye coordination and what type of scissor or how to hold the scissor. And, and this really is not like, oh, we missed this child needing occupational therapy, or, oh, this child should have been identified for special education. No, this is your average. Like, they have no learning challenges whatsoever. They just didn't do enough of those basic kind of things. And so what sometimes looks like these really simple sort of pay teachers things, sometimes I'll print out. It's like, no, we all have to learn and know how to do these things. So it's really cool that Joey could pick that out and notice and say, also because they just have like, am I done? Can we be done? Is this over? And I'm like,
if you guys are, I hope you're watching. I hope you're watching on one of the video feeds because Melissa just like slunk back in her chair. Yeah. And I don't know if she was impersonating a student or if she was just like, God damn it. I see it every day.
It was both, but that's what we get. And I have some theories as to why. I would love to throw it out and tell me what you think. So I definitely also started seeing a change about 10 years ago, but I feel like once No Child Left Behind came out and testing became so important, when I first started teaching in the early 90s, I was teaching full day kindergarten, 25 kids, no aid in a Title I district. And I'm all about project-based learning. That's all I do now. That's all I did in kindergarten, plus teaching them the alphabet and numbers and everything. And we did all of that cutting and everything. And then once testing became so important, they started taking all of that away, and they started adding so many more academics to earlier grades than when we were little. When
Yeah.
I started teaching third grade about 13 years ago, I couldn't believe what I was teaching. It was stuff that I had done in fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because the standardized tests are on computers, which are so developmentally inappropriate for third graders and fourth graders, they don't have the stamina to type. And we all learn better by handwriting. I hand wrote notes today, I think that you're losing a lot. And my other idea is that kids have been given iPads and phones from babyhood, and all they know is this. And this is instant gratification, and you're not going to get that in school.
No.
And so you don't need any stamina for this. You don't like what you're watching, just keep swiping. And so I just saw a video yesterday. I wish I could remember it because I'd love to share it with you. It was something about, it used to be 50% of the parents read to their kids, and now teachers are finding a third of the parents read to their kids. So kids aren't coming in with libraries at home, where they're not being taken to the library, and they don't know how to sit for a story, much less any academics. And then they're not being taught all these fine motor skills like cutting and build anything, and we've seen a huge change in every grade.
Yeah. One of the things we will be talking about, kind of plug our show, is I think later in March, we have like a little theme that we're going to do for March, Tech Reset, where we're going to be talking to a bunch of different people about, some of the different, I want to call them movements across the country about, we did try to reach out and get somebody from Australia, because we know that Australia's had a law regarding social media access for 16 and under.
Oh, I did hear that.
Yeah, they completely banned it. So, and it's also interesting when I talk to my own, because I teach civics, and I talk to my own students about that. And some students were like, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Because like a lot of the stuff that's on there, like even the kids are like, a lot of the stuff that's on there is like not really appropriate for us to be watching. Like they know, but they still watch it anyway.
And these elementary kids are on TikTok. TikTok is not for kids under 18.
No.
And YouTube, the things that the language and the things that they know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's something we're going to be talking to teachers that are working in districts now that are completely pulling back, collecting the Chromebooks, going back to carts, and saying we're going to go back because handwriting is suffering, things like that. I've also instituted, I like to call it the Mrs. Stefanik rule, who was my daughter's kindergarten teacher, and she used to say, "Do it nice or do it twice."
Yeah.
So we adopted that at our house.
I love it.
I told that to my students. I was like, look, if you give me an assignment that we do a short amount of writing on, and it looks like you did it while on a roller coaster with a crayon on an Applebee's napkin, I am going to ask you to redo that assignment and put the effort in. And some kids look at me already and have had to do it, and they're like, oh, well, I'm like, well, yeah, I can't read it. If I can't read it, I can't grade it.
Correct.
So yeah, well, anyway, it's those types of things we're going to be talking about. It's conversations like this that I think are going to help. But the things that you're seeing, the influx of devices, the technology in students' hands, the iPads, we don't know what effect that's going to have on brain development for kids moving forward, because there is no study on it.
No, but I swear it's rewiring them.
Oh yeah,
it is. But Melissa, to your point, which I find so incredible, if we can separate just the war on the devices, right? Because that is a whole thing. And to me, it's, if it's at home just as bad as it is in school, but everybody just wants to blame school because it's easier than having to parent. Or, can you be in a restaurant with your children and they can't sit at a restaurant without being on a device? Like, don't get me started. Yeah, it's crazy to me. So and no one's speaking to them. So they're not acquiring language. They're not hearing it. They're not picking up on things that are happening in their outside environment, the things around them. But what you said about, the testing is so powerful, because my kindergarten experience, hey, Mrs. Brescher, wherever you are, I had full day kindergarten, which was,
That's
1984, which was, yes, we had, when I was a kid, we lived in Union, New Jersey, and we had, shout out to Union, because in the early 80s, they had free public half day preschool
Wow.
and full day kindergarten.
That's
So
amazing.
it's amazing.
That's,
And
that's a unicorn.
it really,
That's
I mean,
incredible.
I didn't, when you're growing up, you don't know any different. You think everybody's doing the same thing as you. And now,
Right,
as a
right.
teacher, my own children did not have full day kindergarten.
No, mine didn't
Yes.
either.
So it's, that drove me nuts. But anyway, so the idea of playing. So one of my twins had a teacher who it was like just her motto, play is a child's workplace.
It is.
And it is so important to do that and to have that. And so when we're looking at a first grader and saying, like, can you write a page? And it's like, no. So there
No.
were certain times too, as they got a little bit older, where they would, oh, we're doing that again. And it was sort of like, yeah, you know what? Like, you're sick of it. And that part, it almost became like, you're tired of that. Let's try something else, to we're just not going to do it. Like there was this, I don't want to. So what you said, that really struck a chord with me, because it is just so true. They took away some of those building blocks and foundational, items for them when they were little, and they just never
put them back. And they also took away recess time.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I had recess in 7th and 8th grade, and in New Jersey, I think it's up to 5th grade.
Correct.
And so, and because kids are swiping, they're not outside playing. Remember, we would stay outside till the sun went down, right? And we had to learn conflict resolution skills. And now kids don't know how to get along at recess even more than just regular, like when we were little.
I don't know if they still do it, but I know for a time our district was having kids like once a week do like SEL lessons out of a workbook in gym class. Like they'd be in the gym, like sitting on the floor, working out of a workbook. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that's the one time where these kids need to be like running around, playing a fun game, having a good time. Like they should be doing that. They absolutely should be doing that. Like,
but they don't want to take away any academic time for the classroom teacher to do it, which is who should be doing it, because we build the community.
Yeah.
Yes.
So because we shouldn't take time away from math and reading and writing.
We've talked about some of the root causes, right? But I'll ask you this, right? Because you're in the earlier grades, Melissa. So if you're a new teacher, a novice teacher in the classroom, I think of my goddaughter who's in her, I think, second year teaching. I want to say it's 3rd grade. In Florida, like if she sees like her students exhibiting the symptoms of learned helplessness, what might be some strategies that she could put in place to help deal with that?
You have to give them tools that they can go to instead of you. So I made this for a video that I made earlier. So I rescued it from the recycling to show you. So I make anchor charts. So for 3rd grade, 5th grade and under, add some pictures to get their interest. I will often use different colors, but I made this really fast. For upper grades, I would just put it up on the board. These are the steps I want you to take. You don't know what to do? Did you look at the board? They never use the anchor charts we use for anything. Start getting them to use what you've put. You don't know what to write? Look at the anchor chart I put up there. What did I say we were doing? The whole ask 3 before me, but then they just go ask someone, and that someone tells them the answer. And I want them to learn how to figure it out, because life is full of problems. We have to learn how to solve them. We have to find those tools. So I have things like that.
Great idea.
I direct them. I don't give them the answer.
That's
and
great.
I teach every routine over and over and over and over and over until they get it.
Yeah.
They have to know what to do.
We've also went back to, since we're starting, it's after a break. It was December, which is, depending on what grade you're teaching, the 5th circle of hell. And it's the holidays and kids are crazy. And now you're back and you're trying to redo that routine. What are some suggestions you might have, to refresh that routine to make sure that students are meeting your expectations?
Well, one class in particular of middle schoolers that I have, our first day back yesterday, I said, okay, just so you remember, the expectation is when I'm reading aloud, you are not touching each other. You're not playing with the caddy of materials. I said to them exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They like me to put the book under the document projector. So I said, your whole body is actively listening to that screen. And then they had trouble working together. So I sat down with them and I said, tell me what my expectation is when you are working on a project. And one kid could tell me, but the other 4 couldn't. And I said, I made them tell me, and I said, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to work with another group. If I have to come back here, then I'm calling your parents, because their parents will back me up. I'm teaching gifted. The parents, for the most part, back me up. Otherwise, they would get a different consequence if calling your parent doesn't work. But you have to, it's almost like day one. You have to reteach those expectations.
Yeah. Actually today I was playing whack-a-mole, where it was like, hey, I even said it out loud. I was like, you guys ever go to the carnival? You play whack-a-mole? I'm like, hey, you're taking a test. Stop talking. You're doing it. Please sit down. Like I have a class that is high energy, and there's a lot of my energy goes to that. And I also, one strategy that I've been doing is I kind of like, especially because it's middle school, I kind of tell them like, hey, like my morning classes, like, they all got a 10 out of 10 for, following directions, completing the assignment. And because they did that, they were able to start their homework and had a little bit less to do tonight. So if you guys want the same, like, maybe you'll live up to their expectations. Let's see who can do it best.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just good to make them compete against one another in a little way. That works for that grade.
Competition. Sure.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of especially because we're in middle school and there are 6 periods. And we have an A day and a B day. So a couple of those classes change every other day. So I think the idea of when they come in, even sometimes it really does feel like every single day.
You might have to.
We're hi. Okay. There's that, because it's see me, see us, see what, because they're
dysregulated.
So dysregulated. And I have been a fan of it. This year in school, we have a different music playing every day. And so what's very, very fascinating to me, and I'm not really a data person, but I'd love to study the behavior of the children in our school based on what the music is like, because today was Red Hot Chili Peppers, and there was like different, I don't know if you've, right? There's a different energy to some of the music, and maybe that's just me, because some of it I don't like it. But when they walking and the vibe and the whole thing. But even today, they were coming in doing some projects, and they, that kind of rush of like, we have so many things we need to ask you, and we need all of your attention. And I found myself dysregulated as a, perimenopausal woman. I was like, and the in a California and the music. And I was like, everybody, we're going to wait until the music over.
I've done it.
Mrs. Wonko cannot answer one more.
James, a few, I don't know if you remember this, a few months ago, I was in your room. I might have been looking at something on your computer or stopped in to say hello or whatever it was. But I remember your students were doing something, and a couple of kids kept coming up to you, and I don't know if you could speak to this, but I really liked what you said to the students. And I realize I'm putting you on the spot. You were like, if you're going to do, like, you could look it up, you could do this, you could do that. And you know what? If you don't find the answer, then you just found 8 ways not to find the answer. So
I like that.
Well, I can't remember exactly what you said, but I just remember like, oh, that was really good. I got to remember that. And of course I forgot it. I
don't know how much of what I say anyone listens to. So thank you, Joe.
I listened to it.
I often use the phrase, you're on the right street, you're just not at the right house.
Oh, I like that.
And, so I'll say to them, like, you're close, you're just not. But the idea of, and you mentioned libraries before. So we got rid of our libraries in our school district years ago. We don't have a single library, and they're gone. And you can see which rooms, you can sort of do a hunt in the different buildings. You can see, like, our current art room used to be the library. You can kind of tell by some of the furniture that's left. And one of the things that really, and I will mention this to the kids sometimes, is we used to do this huge research project in 6th grade language arts, and the kids had so many things, and especially if you run into a wall, you got to turn around. You can't just keep banging your head into the wall. You're going to die without the cheese or whatever that thing is, right? So turn around, find another way. It may not be what you intended, but you're still giving yourself a learning opportunity. Whereas now I think a lot of them really do just sit down. And like,
there's no productive struggle.
Right. And part of that for me, yes,
that
is part of that for me. I'll always pine for the library because the skills that they got in what is your broad topic? How do you make it narrow? How do you figure, just even looking for things that are not, on a screen, that obviously I know that's not coming back, but the skills involved in that somehow need to be brought back in some way.
They do. Especially for research. You need a library for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So not to change gears, but one of the other things I think that you are, I'm going to say an expert at, is you do put a lot of content out there about how teachers who maybe have difficult administrators can broach those conversations. Okay. So what do you think are some of the most common admin related challenges that new teachers face, and why might they be so overwhelming?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, and one of the things that's really hard as a new teacher is that you are just thrown into a classroom and expected to do it all, to manage it, to deliver the content, to grade the papers, to make small groups. How do you make small groups? How do you collect data? To do all the things. And so many admin forget what it's like to be a new teacher. So sometimes they give vague feedback, like just be more engaging, but what does that mean? Or they might give conflicting messages. Make sure you build relationships, but don't smile until December. Right.
So we've all that was a big one when I came into the class.
Yeah, which I don't believe in. But I mean, I'm really consistent and I'm really tough, but I laugh a lot. I think that you have to teach them how to act, right? I'm an anxious, sensitive person, and I was one of those. I'm looking at the note. I made notes because I knew there were things I wanted to say. New teachers assume that when an administrator just does a quick walkthrough, that it defines them as a teacher at that moment when it's just a snapshot, right? And many people, especially new teachers, if they are told things, feel like they have to fix everything at once. And that's not possible along with your job. Let me see. Sometimes administrators give feedback that is looking for teachers to be compliant, and that doesn't work in this job. Like
for example,
like you have to post your objectives. Good, I hate that. Why is that so important? Why do you have to follow specific wording or a specific pacing guide? Why does it matter if you are not on the same lesson as the teacher next to you because you noticed your students didn't get the lesson the day before, so you're reteaching it in yet another way? I think that new teachers often don't feel trusted as the educators they are, and they want the chance to figure out how to be that educator. And it takes several years. And I think this is one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of teachers leave in the first 5 years. And the last thing I was thinking about is that I'm lucky to have really positive admins right now, but I didn't always. And this is the kind of job where we give warm fuzzies to our students all the time. But if an admin isn't doing that for their teachers, especially new ones, and you don't know what you're doing right, then you're going to think everything you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
I think that can catch up with even the most well-seasoned teacher.
Oh, 100%.
We very rarely hear things that we're doing well. That
100% caught up with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to do things at other schools where like a thank you would have went along, like, hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to do that. And I make sure, like, I make sure to overly thank people for, even if it's students, like, hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to do that today. I appreciate it. I make sure that they know that, because I know how I feel when I didn't get it. Like some of the things that I did, like earth-changing things, but they were important, and they were important to me.
Yes.
They're important to our school community, and it would be nice just to be like, hey, you know what? Thanks a lot for taking the time to do that. These are things that like wasn't getting paid for it. I was doing these things because I thought it was important.
Culture, and it should be recognized.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always challenging. And I always said to myself, like, if I ever, and I'm not on that side of the fence, if I ever became an administrator or got into that kind of position, that's how I was going to conduct myself. I was going to make sure that people knew, like, hey, thanks a lot for, I even do that now. Like I make sure that people know that I appreciate and am thankful for the things that they do, whether it's my coworkers, whether it's students.
Or my administrators.
Yeah.
Thanks for backing me up.
Yes. Yeah, I've done 100%. I've done the exact same thing with my current boss, and just said, hey, thanks a lot for taking the time today. I know I don't need to, but I just felt that it's necessary, and let you know that I appreciate it, because they might be in the position where it's like, you know what,
it's a thankless job.
Yeah, it's a thankless job. You're under the microscope all the time, and not everybody. You are not going to be everyone's favorite flavor.
No,
for sure.
It's true.
So. Yeah.
I think as colleagues and coworkers, I have a really great experiences with my fellow teachers.
Yeah.
Showing appreciation, having thank you. Wow, that was great. Oh my goodness. How, almost to the point where people are like, don't say that about, don't say I did a good job. They're so not used to receiving it.
Isn't that awful?
It's crazy. And even, there's been years where we've said like, oh, you know what? You're with this teacher who used to do this book cafe, and she would put out like tablecloths and make it look like it was really a restaurant. She had like the little lights and they on the tables, the candles and the whole, and it was like, we were, in a meeting, like, can you speak to that? Like, explain how you got the ideas and what, and it was like, like, oh my gosh, because it's just not a space I think that people are used to being able to. We used to say, like, what would you be willing to sell a ticket to? And it's like that idea of like, people are doing amazing things day in and day out, but they're not really, it's more so like what you didn't do or what you forgot to do, or that kind of, or the new lesson plans and the new systems and the keeping up with all of the changes, which can seem overwhelming. So I've tried not to be counterproductive with things. I try to always be the company man, but there are certain things where it's like I hear people complaining about the lesson plan program we're using and this and that, but I just basically blatantly said I've given up on that. No, I'm like, it's true.
It's not. Yeah. I said, like, it's not user friendly. It doesn't. The one main thing I want to be able to do, and this is the most frustrating thing, the hill I will die on, is all I want to do is be able to go. All I want to do is be able to go back to last year and see what I did, in what order I did things, because
so that I can do it again because it worked.
Or because I'm like, wait a minute, I think I did that project. Did I do that before this chapter or after?
Right.
I
tweak it.
I can't go back and look at. I can't go back and look at what I did last year, because that gets closed off and turned off.
It's
and
awful.
now I'm like, what the hell am I like? I'm literally reinventing the wheel again.
You shouldn't have to do that.
I don't do some of the same. I change the activities that I do.
Of course.
Some things I do the same because they're good. Like I do some simulations and some mock trials. Like,
Sure.
they're fun. But sometimes I'm like, maybe I want to change that up. And like, I want to look at what I did last year. So now I'm working on paper and pencil. Like I have my little calendar.
Good.
I map things out. I have my standards I want to meet. And then I do things that way.
But that's extra work. It's such a shame.
And I don't mean the. And I was sitting in a room with other veteran teachers, and one was about to be observed, and he was like talking about like, should I do this? It was going to be yesterday. Now she's coming today. Should I flip flop the lesson? Should I do this? And he's like, why do I even care about this? Like, I've been doing this for 25 years. And I'm like, because you've been doing this for 25 years. That's why you're having this conversation in the room.
We care.
Yeah, we can. You want your boss to come in and say, hey, you know what? That was a great job. I really like that lesson.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing that I don't want to have you leave us today without talking about this is I think your point of view on bribery versus
rewards.
Because that to me is like a teacher on teacher crime, where people sometimes accuse like they only do that because you give them Jolly Ranchers or whatever it might be. So can you tell us a little bit about your
so we reward ourselves all the time. right? Whether, I mean, it doesn't happen in teaching, but my brother got a bonus. My husband's firm gives out bonuses. We don't get that, but people get raises every year because they exceeded expectations. We treat ourselves with ice cream because we went and we worked out. We give ourselves rewards all the time for doing something. And so sometimes for kids, praise is not enough. And intrinsically, they're not like, I know what to do and I'm going to do it and I'm going to be a great kid. They don't care. So you have to show them why that's so important. So if giving them a sticker or a Jolly Rancher for doing what I asked, the first few days of teaching, I don't do it every day, but the first few days of teaching expectations at the beginning of the year and then again in January, if this group over here is being loud and obnoxious and these kids here are doing what I want, if I raise my voice and say, thank you, Ryan, here's a piece of candy, you did exactly what I wanted, and it gets them to stop talking, I think it's worth it. Mm-hmm. And then you phase it out. Because many people, I mean, come on, we do this job because we love children, but I wouldn't do it for free. I have a mortgage. I need to eat, right? We still work for a paycheck.
Yeah. Jamie needs that summer ice cream money. Like it's
right. I mean,
it's true.
So there's a place for rewards, but it's not bribery because you're going to phase out the rewards. Mm-hmm. Just like when you have to put a kid on a behavior plan. A STAR chart is only going to be for 2 weeks. So you're going to give them the rewards for 2 weeks and you're slowly going to spread out what they have to do to get that reward. It's not going to be 3 stars. It's going to be 5 stars and then 8 stars and then 10 stars until they're taking on that new behavior as a habit or they're not. And then that's more data that they have to go be tested, So I was surprised at how much pushback I got on a video about that. Why in all caps, why are you giving kids a bribe? Why are you bribing them? I'm not. I'm showing them how much I appreciate them.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you find that there's pushback among your colleagues that they're like, you shouldn't do that because blah, blah, blah. Is there any of that, if you don't mind me asking?
You mean doing the videos or the bribery?
No, the bribery.
So that's a really interesting question. I was teaching kindergarten in 1999 and I got engaged. I looped to first grade and then I got engaged. And in 2000, I moved down here from North Jersey to South Jersey because I got married and the job that I got was 7th grade. And so I went into middle school with an elementary mind. I did Friday prizes for behavior. If you didn't get the certain amount of stars, you didn't get your Friday prize. And my colleagues on my team, I was the language arts teacher on the team, hated that I gave Friday prizes, but they also complained about the students' behavior and I didn't have the same complaints. Right. They didn't like that. I was the only Jewish teacher in the whole school and the kids didn't know what Hanukkah was. So if I wanted to teach Hanukkah, I decided to do a Christmas Around the World unit. And they thought I was doing like baby projects, but I wasn't. I did a project for each country and then they had to write a story that took place in that country. I gave a rubric. I was looked at differently then. But in elementary school, you're not looked at it that way. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm teaching grades 3 to 8, and I'm the only GT teacher in the whole district, and my room is in the middle school, I love being up there. I think that with PBIS now, everything is with
that's one of the things that I remember being in a school that implemented that. We had a huge program. We put the whole thing together, and you just basically had some teachers that were like, I'm not doing that. They basically just said, I'm not taking part in it. We're not going to give them, because exactly what you said was what the goal of PBIS was. It was you are trying to recognize good behaviors. Right. So the kids that are not behaving
will say, oh, I want that.
Or, hey, I want that thing. And then they're going to start falling in line and you start rewarding them. So we had like pieces of paper and it would be raffles and prizes and all sorts of stuff like that. But we had flat out some teachers that were like, no, I'm not doing that. And then the inconsistencies that started because of that, because if they were getting it in one class and they weren't getting it in another class, the same
Mhm.
thing. They were seeing certain behaviors in one class,
Mhm.
certain behaviors in another class, and it became, you know, a war of attrition to get people to be on board with like, hey, let's, or we'd have like a initiative where we'd say, all right, we're going to make sure that this week we are giving out extra tickets for students that are compliant with the dress code or quiet in the hallway or whatever it is that they were trying to do. And you try to recognize those kids for what they were doing. And some teachers just wouldn't
They
take
wouldn't
part
do
in
it.
it. And
I don't understand. I mean,
yeah,
but that goes against like everything I believe, just like, you thank your administrator, you thank your colleague for being so positive or for whatever you're showing that kid. I don't know. We're
yeah,
on the
no,
same
I,
page.
I see.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah,
challenging. It was a challenging environment to be in, and there were also things that I witnessed throughout. Like we all do. We all have things that we witnessed. We had a dress code at the time, and there were a bunch of students that were, every day coming in the dress code, and some that were like, I'm not following that, and they would get disciplined, and they would get discipline points, and then they couldn't go to things. And I remember, I'm going to tell the story. I remember it was right after Memorial Day, and they had a grade level meeting, and all the 8th graders were in the room, and the principal got up and said, well, there's a lot of kids who earn discipline points because they haven't been dressed properly by the dress code. But if you follow the dress code for the next 3 weeks, we'll erase the discipline points and we'll let you guys go to the picnic at the end of the year and the dance. And I was teaching an honors class at the time. Like we had an honors history program, and we went back in the room, and my students went ballistic.
I'm sure they did.
In a good way, because these were the ones that were showing up every day, and they were like, I showed up every day where like so you mean to tell me like I could have, and I just stood back and was like, I gotta let them vent. I gotta let them have their moment. Nobody was disrespectful, nobody cursed, nobody raised their voice. And I was like, look,
But they had to get it out.
I was like, look, I get it. And like in that moment, when you make a decision like that, to like let those kids get the pass, then you just basically delegitimized, if that's a word,
Right.
The from September to June or September to May. What do those kids who followed the rules every single day get? Nothing. That was disheartening to those kids. They were just beside themselves.
And that was the message they got. It didn't matter that you followed the
Yeah.
rules. Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
That's a shame.
Those are tough conversations to have. I mean,
Yeah.
As a new teacher, I mean, Jamie and I one of these days are going to do an episode where we're like, yeah, you know what? You can't say that. We can say it. We can say it. But you're a new teacher.
Maybe don't say that.
Maybe don't
Right.
say it. You're a new teacher. You can't say it. You can't say
Wait
it.
till
I
you're
can say it.
tenured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one more scenario that I'd like to pose.
Sure.
If we can go back to the learned helplessness a little bit.
Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
What would you say to a student that asked? So I have this like menu of, it has 40 different project topics. You can choose anything you want to do. You can work with anybody you want to work with. And I had a student who said, can you tell me which is the easiest one? And I said,
I'm laughing because I enjoy Melissa so much because she's like,
I was like,
Theater kid here,
are you,
I get it.
Are you kidding?
That's what I would say. You
Yeah.
couldn't be serious right now.
And then I looked over, they had been with, 2 other students. I said, did they know that you just asked me that? They don't want to work with me anymore. I said, well, do you think that might, so I'm just curious because that is a new one for me of,
I haven't heard that one.
no, me neither.
Wow.
just tell me the easiest one to do.
I mean, I for years I had, is this for a grade? It's always for a grade. You're in
Oh
school.
yeah, we
Yes.
still get that.
Yes.
Yes, it's on the report card, but I've never heard what's the easiest one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No,
It makes me feel better. Thank
I'm
you
glad.
for saying that.
I'm glad.
Well, I was like, oh, for me, I love writing. I said the easiest one would be writing poetry.
That's a good answer.
She walked away.
Good for you.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I mean,
If
that
she even
anything
does
with,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
if she
I
even
like
does,
that.
yes, I said, oh well,
Yeah.
we do what we can do, and the ways we can do it.
So
right?
Melissa, we definitely, you didn't fix everything,
No.
but we did.
I mean, you really, I have to say, I gave so many wonderful answers, so much.
Thank
You
you.
have such great content,
Thank you.
and you're a fantastic follow. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining
I
us.
felt
Yeah.
this was so much fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
you.
Well, hey, Miss Wanko, do you have that ad read handy that I don't have in front of me so we
Oh
can do
my-
that again for our
course.
season 3 sponsor? I feel like my dog ate my homework today. So
Season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Teachers Insurance Plan. Check out their website below for more information and to get a quote. Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
yeah. All right. Well, listen,
Yeah.
You
Melissa,
do that so well.
Melissa, I know she does, right? She's got I have a face for radio. She's definitely good for TV. Melissa,
Ay,
Jamie,
ay,
Melissa, Jamie, I appreciate you both. Thank you very much for the episode today.
Melissa,
Thank
Joe, I
you for-
appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Yeah.
you for asking me. This was a ball. Thank you.
Awesome. So we'll see everybody next time on the Balancing Act podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.